Hello, welcome to Solo Strategic Playthroughs. My name is Jeff, and once again, I'm continuing my Gloomhaven Second Edition campaign, episode 23. Can you believe it? I cannot. I did not think I was going to get this far into the series, but I've really been enjoying the game. People seem to be enjoying the videos, so I'm glad you're here for it with me. This time, I am going to be getting back to the main campaign, sort of. I am going to be having three characters, so we've done the solo stuff. However, it will not be the same group of Gloomaniacs as Helo, the Saw class, will be retiring, and in his place will be the Sun class, is what I'm going to unlock and what I am going to create a new character for. So, of course, we've also got the Brain as the Cthulhu class and Rita, the Music Note class. They'll be continuing on, so there's your spoiler warning. Now, let's get into the city phase. So we'll start off with the city event phase, where we had somebody coming from out of town with a delivery, having to deal with red tape and the city guard, and we could have helped her out, but we're aligned with the city guard now. We are the Valor Guard, as they call us. Little did they know. But that being the case, decided to continue that path to help out, not her, but the city guard, take their side. As a result, Gloomhaven got a prosperity tick, and we also added one faction with the city guard. So you can see where things are at on my tracker sheet. And again, PSA reminder to make sure you download the tracker sheet from the website. The one that comes in the box is missing some important information like character class retirement unlocks, among other things. So I've gone ahead and marked some stuff that I haven't actually done yet in this city phase, but we'll be going through, including the prosperity bump for the retirement, which is going to happen. A couple of other things here. You can see I'm now at 10 with the city guard, and just again, this is solo strategic playthroughs, strategically looking at the choices. I'm making choices that I'm reading into the text and saying, okay, I have an opportunity to side with the city guard, regardless of what might feel might be fun or in the personality. That's the path I've gone down, so I'm certainly going to look for those opportunities. That's why I made that choice. I want to drive that reputation up and see what happens as it continues to move higher. I'm going to have everybody donate to the Great Oak. In the case of Helo, the Sawbones, not going to give him any benefit, but at least we'll have another tick off, which I've already ticked off. I've ticked off for the imbuements I did last turn. And so with that, let's get into the individual characters. So we'll start off with Rita, the Quattrel Soothsinger, who did manage to get to level 6 last scenario. So she gets a perk. Now, I've said before, I don't really want to increase the size of her attack modifier deck because I want to have maximum chance of drawing those effects which allow her to keep her songs into play. But this is a rolling modifier, so, and I don't even know if I'm going to be bringing Ode to the Gambler that much. So this is a pretty good addition, I think. Being able to give an ally attack or movement, and if she's able to give that ally to Steely Dan, her construct, then I will still get to draw additional attack modifier cards. Now, for her level up card, I was just looking at the level 6s at this point, between Disorienting Dirge and Pull the Strings. And honestly, I think I just have to take it because I can say, pull the strings. And if you don't get that reference, it's from Ed Wood. It's where I know it from, which is from Plan 9 from Outer Space, which I've never actually seen. So I don't know if it's as hokey in there as it is in the movie, but I still like to say, pull the strings. And also, between these two, I'm less about looking for more songs to get into play, more about getting more note generation, and I just like controlling enemies. I like the ability to be able to move an enemy around. With this configuration, I don't have a lot. I have some push ability with Dissonant Rhythm. I don't really have any pull among my three characters. So this is another way potentially walk enemies into traps or position people to a more optimal layout. And, the bottom ability, being able to have an enemy attack another enemy. And again, it is their attack plus 0, which means if that enemy has a ranged attack, I can have them do a ranged attack. And that is getting better and better as we get into higher levels, right? So even with this crew, I think I'm still at scenario difficulty level 4, maybe 3. Either way, the enemies have some pretty potent attacks, so being able to compel them to attack each other, always fun. For the market phase, I did have her donate to the Great Oak, sort of. She didn't have to pay anything. Again, that's Helo. One last time, I get to use that perk of his, so I don't have to pay anything for the donation. She is saving up. She's up to 131 gold. And her personal quest is I have to put a wild enhancement on a card. It could be on hers. It could be on somebody else's. I could do it for 75 if I were willing to put it on a lost card, but I do want to try and make it useful, and I've been in no rush to retire Rita. So I have been waiting for an opportunity where a character is going to retire, because part of that is she can play the enhancement on somebody else's card, which is exactly what I intend to do. Not this scenario, probably the next one. That may not be the end of the line for her. I imagine there's probably a follow-up scenario. We shall see. But speaking of her enhancing somebody else, let's take a look at Helo and his successor. So we come to Helo, the human sawbones, a loyal member of the Gloomaniacs for as long as he was here, but he always had other ambitions, political ambitions, as that was his personal goal. So here you can see Helo's personal goal as he was trying to accumulate political support by bringing faction items, by increasing faction. He did that very well. In fact, did it again this city phase. Once he had at least 30 votes, he was well above that. I was able to go ahead and see what happens as he runs for city council. There's some mechanics involved that I won't get into. You can find those out on your own, but he won his election. And as his first act on the city council, he had an opportunity to clean up the stinking market or have funds going towards local traders. And no surprise here, it told me what the benefits were going to be. I could either gain 1 prosperity or I could get a random item design. I opted for the prosperity. Random item design is random. You never know what you're going to get. So, although there's certainly some items with the new class that would be particularly nice to get, but no, I took the sure thing and went ahead and gave myself the prosperity tick, and then it just says I have to retire at some point during the city phase. So no victory lap for this one. He is too busy, already on the city council. In his case, I sold off all his items, leaving him with actually 110 gold so that I could buy an enhancement. With that much gold, there was a bunch of ways I could have gone, but I love me some strengthen, especially just thinking back to my play of the Sawbones. Whether you're a tank, an attacker, a healer, whatever role, I feel like always going to take this card. It's his best initiative, just incredibly useful. Being able to heal and remove that condition before the heal is so good. Bypassing poison, letting him get rid of his own immobilize. So just all around, the only thing that would have given me pause with this is that I'm just as likely to use the bottom ability as the top ability, but I'm not going to be using any of them, really, in this case, as Sawbones is retiring, though who knows? Maybe he'll be back at some point, but I went ahead, spent 100 gold to put Strengthen on top. Now, with Helo much too busy attending to affairs of the city to go out and adventure, it is time to bring in a replacement in the Gloomaniacs. And as I mentioned, it is the Sun class, and that replacement is going to be the Volrath Sunkeeper. And let's talk a little bit about this newest member of the Gloomaniacs. Well, you'll find out plenty more about the Sunkeeper class as we move forward, but I feel like, she needs a backstory. And in her case, the Sunkeeper, before she became this beacon of holy light, was a troublesome teenager who would fly off the handle, had a raging temper that would quite literally turn her into a ball of fire as hot as the sun. She is, of course, Katie Kaboom. All grown up, ready to adventure. However, Katie has a bit of a dark past. No, I mean literally she has a dark past, as she was a member of a dark organization of killers, assassins, the Sin Ra, and now she's trying to get out and do this noble mercenary thing. But you can never get too far away from her past. She is going to start with a nice little item, the black card that she stole from the person she killed. And fittingly enough, or ironically, however you want to look at it, this is going to unlock the dark icon class. So we go from light to dark, but that won't be happening anytime soon. I do have to do a bunch of side scenarios. I actually have quite a few unlocked, and well, you saw in the title card, we're going to kick that off with a side scenario in this first episode. But before we get to that, let's take a look at her items and her level up. So her first item, the black card, she gets this for free. And nice little small item that allows you to mark somebody for death, give everyone +1 attack against them while they're marked. However, I will not be bringing this with me until she turns to level 3, at least, because there is another small item that I feel like she's going to need. And that is going to be the element potion, thanks to her mastery, which I definitely want to, at least one of which I want to complete right away, which is to either generate or consume an element every turn. So this will certainly help my chances of doing that. The other item I got for her, the Heavy Greaves, I'm very high up on my faction score with the City Guard, so this is available to me, a really good item, both giving movement and muddling enemies. Figure she is going to be my frontline attacker and defender, and a much lower level than the rest, so she'll need all the help she can get. I'm actually not going to spend any of the other gold that she's gotten. I'm going to hold on to the 20 because there are several other items I'd like to add to kit her out, all of which the better ones cost at least 25 or more, so I'm going to wait till she's got a little bit more money and then purchase those items. Now let's talk about her perks. Speaking of the Heavy Greaves, which would normally put -1s in the card, as a paladin, Katie is certainly going to be using some heavy items, so it made sense to take that perk to nullify that penalty. I also get to take a -1 out of her deck. And speaking about her perks, she is the third in her line, following Wacko and then Helo. So for Katie, she does get 2 legacy perks plus the perk she gets from starting off at level 2. We're at prosperity level 4. So that is the situation again in 2nd edition. It is half the prosperity level rounded up, not the prosperity level. That said, so that is her first perk. Now for the next one. Again, with an eye towards getting that mastery goal, being able to generate more sun, not to mention, she's just very effective when she can generate a lot of light. So I get to remove a -1 and put in 2 light generation cards. And of course, you've heard Katie's backstory. When she was a teenager, she was very explosive. Literally, she certainly is sun-touched. Her ability to generate light during a long rest will help with the mastery, because that mastery does not specify that it's immune during long rest. So you do have to do it during a long rest, so now she'll be able to. For her level up card, my choice is between Holy Defense and Mobilizing Axiom. I am going the more offensive route. Her other mastery goal, in order to deal that much damage, you're going to need a good amount of blesses in your deck, so she's got plenty of abilities that give her bless. Now I'll give her some more. I also really like the potential of that bottom ability of being able to move characters around as a good endgame ability. And also, kind of spoiler alert, I've been looking ahead to, obviously, she doesn't need a wild element. She'd be perfectly happy just being able to generate sun. But I do plan on having Rita enhance her after this scenario with a wild element. And I think I might put it on this card. It costs an extra 25, but just seems like it'll be real useful to have her have an attack. But there are some other possibilities, so we will see. We'll see how much money we gain. She is not donating to the Great Oak this turn. I could, but either way, I'm not going to. I'll hold on to her money, and we will get ready to move on to our road event, and of course, figure out where we're going. So time for a road event, or should it be a sea event? Actually, as the case is, it was neither. I think it took place in the city. But before we get to that, just talking about where we're going, of course, you know from the title card that we are going to the Lost Island. And the reason I chose that scenario, well, one, it certainly helps towards Katie's personal goal of a side quest. I'm not going to have her only do side quests, for sure. I definitely want to get back into some of the other stuff. But I've been wanting to go here because this is from the Temple of the Seer. I was gifted a choice of information. I chose wealth. This is the wealth scenario, and this seems a good time for it. Obviously, Rita needs that extra push to get up to at least 150, possibly 175, if I want to be able to do to enchant a level 2 card. And then having just created Katie and wanting to outfit her with a lot of good gear, she needs money. So we are heading out, but before we even got out of Gloomhaven, we were looking to take a detour through the sewers, and this was an interesting little puzzle in our road event where I had to kind of look at a map of all the pipes and figure out which one to turn off. And the instruction is put the card on the table, nobody can touch it, and then everybody has to say their answer out loud at the same time. Well, all one of us said our answer, we all agreed with each other, and it was right. As a result of not getting ourselves caught in the sewers, we all got some good experience. Everyone gets 10 XP. So we have arrived at the location for the Lost Island Scenario 83. You can see the setup here. Not a lot of story going on here. I heard some rumor of hidden wealth out here, so I've gone and chartered myself a boat. I've headed out, I've arrived, found the island teeming with life. Who knows how these cave bears got here? Doesn't matter. I plan on killing everything in sight, taking as much loot as I can. This is going to be an interesting challenge as because of the makeup of my characters, level 6, 5, and 2, I am going to be at scenario level 4. On the more difficult end of that, the good news is my coins will be worth extra out of it, but I definitely have my work cut out for me. Okay, so going through the characters now and their battle goals, we'll start with the Harrower Plague Herald, who I didn't show you any of before because I did his city phase in the last episode before he did his solo scenario. So at this point, I have gone ahead. I've been not repeating any battle goal I had completed, but I was down to just 10 left or even under that. So went ahead, shuffled everything up, and once again, we were going to go for Daredevil. Pretty easy to pull off. A little bit concerning given there's a lot to cover in this map, but this will probably have to be the only losses. So what I plan on doing here, and again, I'm going to show you the cards I'm bringing for the Plague Herald, roughly in the order I chose them. So these 5 first, the obvious was Blistering Buoys and Path of the Pox. That's my combo that I will be able to use 2 lost cards, and they do have to go in the lost pile. So usually I would put Nightmarish Affliction into play. That doesn't end up in the lost pile before my first rest, so I'm not going to do that this game. But that'll certainly help me with the priests in this scenario, which have very high shields. I'll be able to punch right through that. Should be able to take them out. Again, battle goal is easy to achieve. It's then making sure I can do my personal goal of not exhausting and being at half health. Other cards in this mix, my main Pox Givers, Festering Spores, Biting Gnats, and now Wilt and Wither, all no-brainers for me. For the rest of the mix, mostly plague-based, Vile Pestilence for some good movement and initiative, potentially the multiple attacks, Spread the Plague, certainly useful if I can have the bears attack the heavily shielded guys, since they have wound. With Nightmarish Affliction, I am not going to use it for the bottom, so last time I did talk about using it more for the top ability. I'll be doing that this game. Rot Maggots just continues to be one of my best range attack damage dealers, so even though I'm not going to be able to get the double attacks, still bring that one along, and then of course Rabid Bite rounding it out. So that is the Plague Herald. Next up we've got Rita. Her battle goal is the Promoter. Should not be hard for her to pull that off, as she does plenty of stuff giving allies movement, giving them attacks. I'm actually not sure if mobilizing measure counts, but I'll double check that. I'm not even sure it'll matter. Should certainly be able to do that. These 5 cards you see here, this has become kind of my standard suite, more or less. These are all the cards I'm going to be playing on turn 1. So, including my newest card, Pull the Strings, which I'll be able to play the top ability while I use Symphonic Medley to get 3 songs into play. Because of the bears here, and they're the ones most likely to get up close and personal with me, I am not bringing Weary Enchant, but instead I am going to be using Ode to the Gambler. And rounding out Rita's mix, took Echoing Aria, mainly for the loot ability. The extra attack, nice. Also let me move through more cards in my deck. Marching Beat, again, will help with the battle goal. Note generation either side has become a staple for me. Call to Action, very good. Also the move 4. Thrilling Solo, should be able to get that into play on turn 2. As I have done recently, I feel like that's a good cadence for her to get those multiple attacks. And then Singing Arrow is the card that I wasn't sure I was going to include. I was back and forth between this and Power Ballad. Power Ballad, really nice initiative. And potentially, if I get the song into play, the extra attacks. But here's another card that helps towards my battle goal and helps with note generation. So I decided to go in that direction. And then finally, Onward to Battle, another card staple for her with the really good movement to cover this early map and get moving across it. I should say the early part of this map, which is really big. It gets smaller later on, so I'm not too worried about movement, but that is her suite. And finally, we've got our Volrath Sunkeeper, Katie Kaboom. This being the first time, I'll just quickly go through all of her cards. This is starting with the offensive suite and the element generation. So being able to generate sun, again, I am going for that mastery, which is I have to either generate or consume a sun in every round. I do have that perk that'll help me out, so when I long rest. Sleeper, I'll be looking to long rest a little bit more often, since I have to make sure I have at least 1 card in my hand. That works out well enough. First round, she's got 11 cards, and so she's going to be an odd number anyway, as I don't have a stamina potion. So you can see here, there's a bunch of different ways to generate elements. Probably going to have to go exclusively on the top part of those cards. Then I've got a couple of attacks, really good at consuming elements. And then Mobilizing Axiom, which is the card I'm thinking about. That's my level 2 card that I am thinking about enchanting, but that won't be for this game. That'll be for the next one. Now, just going through her other 5 cards, Daybreak, I mainly took, I like the bottom ability. In the future, once have a wild element generation, I'll be able to generate dark. That'll be really useful to have the dark turn into sun. But not this time, most likely. Still seems like a pretty good card. Purifying Aura, I potentially might play in the first round, to just kind of give everybody a quick start. Have to see exactly how things work out, but definitely handy to be able to give Rita and her summons advantage. So with Brilliant Prayer, this could be a really good card either to let Rita get back Symphonic Medley or one of those 2 lost cards I'm going to have to burn in the first series for the Plague Herald. So that one, really good to kind of have that ability back that the Tinkerer once had. Should be able to put it to good use. Tactical Order, mostly just there. It's kind of obviously just there for movement. It's another way of using up sun. And Soothing Light, very similar to the Sawbones. This is actually a good replacement. Sawbones, who was my frontline fighter and tank, but also my healer. Katie able to do those things as well. She's got a couple of healing cards. Let's just quickly run through the 4 I am leaving out. All right, and for the 4 cards I'm not bringing. Protective Blessing. I don't think 1 shield is going to make a big difference, and though it is another mode of element generation, I don't want to have to rely on lost cards to do that. Not to mention, I don't see myself needing to prevent that much damage dealt to my allies. Beacon of Light, again, another card that I don't see in this game using the top ability. Defensive stance, the stun could be useful, but very slow initiative, so hard to leverage that exactly the way I want. And again, not planning on using the bottom. And finally, I did consider bringing Lay on Hands. It's got some good movement. And then also, that big heal, but I don't know who I'm going to give that big heal to. Certainly not the Plague Herald, who doesn't want it. Rita, usually not that close to the action, so I'm going to be doing a max 4 heal on Steely Dan. Probably not worth it with this crew. All that gone through, here is the starting setup. I've got everything laid out. There's another room to the north of here, one more room, which I'll make room for once I'm getting closer to it. Don't have to worry about it now. There are doors in all the rooms that I'm going to have to work my way through. But first and foremost, we have to deal with this giant forested area with a whole bunch of enemies, which fortunately don't have that many hit points. But still might have to get creative. There are a couple of traps around here that I can potentially move and push people into. I can pull the strings, although do I want to wait until I can do it to the elite? Not sure. I'm going to go through now and choose my starting cards for round 1. All right, so we are ready for round 1, and Katie Kaboom going to get her introduction to working with the other Gloomaniacs. It'd be interesting to see how this crew works together. First round... I'm going to have the Plague Herald go first, go very fast, use Biting Gnats to get some Plague out, and then also potentially with the movement card being able to slow them down. I'm kind of got my eye on the elite up here, potentially one other target. By slowing down their movement, I may be able to prevent them from getting in range, depending on what cards they draw. Also thinking about, it might be fun in this first round, there's 9 enemies on this map, being able to poison and muddle everybody. I do want to use Biting Gnats for the other ability first, but I could always either use a stamina potion, or Katie's got abilities to let me get cards back, so might look to do that a little bit later in the round as one of the 2 lost cards that the Plague Herald will be looking to do before the first rest. After him will be Rita the Soothsinger is actually going to go next. That way... I want her to be able to get her summons out. The Steel Construct Steely Dan, her accompanist, will put me in a position that when Katie then goes on 39, she will be able to strengthen 3 allies instead of 2. And of course, generate a light. That was part of the decision I had to make. I am going for her mastery, one of the 2 anyway, which is to either generate or consume, or infuse or consume light every turn. So we'll kick that off. The other mastery, it seems like you need to have your deck loaded with blesses in order to be able to deal 8 damage to 3 different enemies in a scenario. But we'll see. Maybe I'll get lucky, but not my main goal this time around. For this scenario, I am going to be focusing on the first of the masteries. Now, checking in with Xhaven, let's find out when the enemies are going to be going, what they're going to be doing. All right, well, Priests going very quickly, moving 3, disarming at range 3. That actually might not be too bad, because I think they're going to disarm Katie, and she's not planning on attacking. Then we've got the Cave Bears, not moving at all. And the Vermling Scouts, they're moving, but not attacking. So that is good news. And with that, I can go ahead and get things started. Actually, it's even better with the Vermling Priests, because they are not going to be able to get in range. This one is going to go 1, 2, 3, is as close as he can get. That'll put him within range 4 of Katie, but not close enough to attack. And then this guy will trail 1, 2, 3 right there. And that is going to do it for their turn. So now the Plague Herald's up, and really convenient here, kind of having already seen some of the enemies move, having a very good idea of where everyone's going to end up, and I have some control over that in terms of where the scouts will go, so that I can really set things up for next turn when I plan on doing a whole bunch of plaguing. But for now, we will kick it off. Since I'm going to be plaguing everybody over here with Path of the Pox, I'm going to focus on these 2 guys, the elite and the non-elite behind him, hitting them both with Biting Gnats. So just a 1 attack within range. I've got range 5 for that. First attack against the elite Vermling Scout. is -1, 0 damage, and then the non-elite, +1 for 2 damage. They're both muddled. That doesn't really matter. They're not attacking, so they are also plagued. And then I will just move 2 over here, which will give them both -1 to their movement, and kind of put me in a good position to maneuver some of the other enemies where I want them to end up. That is going to do it for the Plague Herald's turn. One other thing, this could be a very good place to use Scepter of Zorn to start poisoning and cursing enemies, but I think I'd rather wait a little bit. I'd rather get the poison on the Cave Bears, which are going to be a little more effort to take down. I've got my plans for getting through the shields of the other guys. Next up are the Cave Bears, who, with full force, are not doing anything. Next up is Rita, and I will use Symphonic Medley to go ahead and put 3 songs into play. Each time I put a song into play, I lose my note, then get it back from my perk, and base note is the one I want to start with, so that is what I will hang on to. And there are the 3 songs I'm putting into play. Mobilizing Measure, I actually went back and forth. Am I better off with the muddling, damaging one? But no, I think having the movement to be able to move people around and reposition will be more helpful than Ode to the Gambler in play, so I can move more through my attack deck, and hey, that may help with getting Katie towards that mastery of digging through her deck to get some big attacks off. And then, of course, my favorite, Dissonant Rhythm, which I will be able to use shortly, but not yet, as I still have another card to do this round. It is time to pull the strings, as so close to being able to target this guy and moving him to the trap and killing him. That would be wonderful. Unfortunately, I am only at range 4, not range 5, so I will go with the original plan, which is to target this elite right here. First, I will be able to do a 2 attack at range 4. And for Rita, that attack is going to be a +1, so 3 damage, knocking it down to 5, and then I get to make it move 2. And wouldn't you know it, 2 movement is going to be just enough to move him into this trap, which is a 6 damage trap, which is going to kill him. It's going to drop loot, which unfortunately the other scouts are going to pounce on. That'll generate a treble note, so now I've got a treble and a bass, putting me in good position to get Thrilling Solo into play next turn. And now we can move on to her end of turn effects from her songs. Actually, I did have Ode to the Gambler in play, so before I did that attack, and I do want to move through my attack deck to try and keep my songs into play, so I am going to go ahead and draw an extra card. I'll give that the rolling modifier, take my chances, paid off. So, okay, so there was a slight risk of missing. It did not happen, so not only do I kill that enemy, but my songs will not advance. For Rita's end of turn, I'll start with Dissonant Rhythm, attacking the nearest enemy, which is going to be this scout, who is 4 away. Unfortunately, would, again, like to attack this guy with the Pierce, but he's 5 away. So this will be a 2 attack with 2 Pierce against the Vermling Scout. There's the miss. So no damage. I could push him. Into the trap and kill him, which is actually tempting. You know, much as I might want to save that trap for a different enemy, he's at 5 health, it's 6 damage, I can take him out of the equation. I'll still be able to set myself up well for Path of the Pox, because I've got Mobilizing Measure, I can move the Plague Herald. So yeah, this guy's going to be pushed back into that trap, which is going to take him out. Right, actually, just backtracking before the attack, I would have had to do my summons, which certainly I was going to do. I will bring Steely Dan into play, so he's ready to go. 2 movement, 3 attack. Now, with Mobilizing Measure, ideally, I would move the Plague Herald for a little repositioning. However, I cannot do that, as Mobilizing Measure is the closest ally, so I could choose between Steely Dan and Katie, but I am happy with both of them right where they are, so I'm just going to skip that ability, and that is going to do it for Rita's turn. Finishing things off for the enemies, the Vermling Scouts are going to make their greedy move, starting with the Elite, who is -1 movement, doesn't matter, he's got jump. With 3 points of movement, he can get right here and get next to the Plague Herald, and then he will loot one and take that coin, and Rita is not happy about that. Next up will be this guy, who with -1 movement is only going to be able to go 1, 2, 3, getting as close as he can to Katie. And then last but not least, the other guy has 4 movement, so he will be able to get right up here, which is fine. That is exactly where I wanted him. So that is going to do it for the scouts. Finally, we've got Katie, who's going to keep it simple. She wants to ingratiate herself to her new friends. Doesn't want to fly off the handle and lose her tempo over any misunderstanding that she's not pulling her part. So she will start with putting Sanctify in play. That will generate light. So we are on our way to her mastery. And then with the bottom of the other, she will be able to strengthen all 3 of the surrounding allies. Not that the Plague Herald needs it, but the other 2 will certainly accept it. And of course, she doesn't need the extra range. She also could not consume the element yet. She just produced it. It'll be available at the end of her turn. Not that she would use it anyway. So pretty straightforward. That's going to do it for her turn. Round 2, and here's the situation. We have a bunch of scouts in here, including this guy hiding right back here, all getting ready to come in and attack. We have the cave bears still a bit of a distance away, so I may not have to deal with them immediately. And of course, the priests, which I'm hoping to maybe not completely take out this turn, might take next turn. So here's the thinking. I am going to have Rita go first on 21, where she will be able to get Thrilling Solo into play, grant some movement, which I may or may not use. We'll have to see where the enemies are going to end up. Mostly just doing it because it's a quick way of generating a base note that I need. Then I'll have Rita go. Should be able to consume that element, get off a nice attack. Also be able to bless somebody. And then I could have the Plague Herald go on 14, which you would think I would want to go faster. However, since I have to do 5 damage, and he is going to be doing the big combo of Path of the Pox and Blistering Buboes to deal lots of damage. However, since I'm not going to be able to kill the 5 health elite outright, and I don't want to have to deal with those shields, took a look at the priest deck. Their heal comes on 23. So I would rather go after that happens as opposed to going on 14, doing 4 damage, and then them healing most of it back. So that is why I'll be going on 31. Let's see when the enemies are going and how it all works out. Drawing for the enemies. All right, well, Cave Bear not coming anywhere near us. They are just hibernating. Then all my guys get to go. The scouts with a hasty assault. And there is a little bit of a heal, but only healing their allies. So that's okay by me from the Vermling Priest. So, that being the case, let's get things started. On their turn, the Cave Bears are throwing up Retaliate. They haven't taken any damage, so the heal doesn't matter. And is a bit annoying that they are safeguarding themselves. That is going to make it quite a bit more difficult to poison them. Next up is Rita, which means first we have to deal with Steely Dan. And he is going to be able to move to, and he will target, I guess he'll target this guy because he's the lower number. He'll target the elite, actually, yeah. So he'll move into position there and then go ahead and do a 3 attack with advantage. Even though I have advantage, I am going to use the Ranger's Hood to look at the top 2 cards of my deck. Again, the goal being to keep my songs in play as long as possible. So I want to be able to fish through that deck and set aside any cards that are not the ones I'm looking for. And so the top 2 cards are, well, either a stun or a ×2. Wow. Those are really good. That actually might be worth keeping around. I'm going to have to think about that. Yeah, and the crazy thing is with Ode to the Gambler, I could apply both of those effects. That said, the ×2 is going to be enough because, remember, Katie put Sanctify in play, which means all allies within 2 for the next 3 attacks are going to get +1. That will apply. So this is actually a 4 attack. Therefore, I have left the ×2 on top. So that is an 8 attack. And since the attack has advantage, there's no reason not to give that the rolling modifier from Ode to the Gambler. Now we'll go ahead and draw 2 cards, either a +1 or a +1. So yeah, that's going to be 10 damage dealt to the elite, which is going to kill it. And I feel like that kind of sets off Katie a bit, because she's the one who wants to be dealing that much damage to enemies, but she's not going to explode just yet. It does have her fired up. That said, we are now going to go to Rita's main turn, where the first thing she's going to do is grant somebody 4 movement. And I guess in this case, since I'm not going to be having the Plague Herald move, might as well move him onto the loot. That will also generate a base note, which I can then use to put Thrilling Solo into play. Now with Thrilling Solo into play, the end of her turn, Rita will be able to do 2 attacks with Dissonant Rhythm, and both of those attacks are going to gain the +1 bonus from Sanctify, so 3 attacks with 2 Pierce, also with advantage, and I've got Ode to the Gambler for the first one. Actually, it's a bit risky, but you know what I'm going to do? I am actually going to have this guy move over here. So he was here, so instead of moving here, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, he's right next to the bear, but it also puts him in a good position in the middle of the action. And if he gets attacked by a couple bears next turn, he can take it. He wants to take it. He wants to do that in service of the Blood God. So let us grant him his wish. Now, on to the Dissonant Rhythm attacks. I am going to start with the guy over here. So this attack, again, with 3 attack. So that's a +1, and of course I'll give that a rolling modifier since I have advantage. So we've already killed that guy, and I'll be able to strengthen an ally, and then either a +1 or a card that keeps my notes into play. Deck working exactly as I'd hoped, swimming along. So yeah, having the ability to get strengthened from an ally now, pretty reliably from Katie here, is really going to be a game changer for the Soothsinger. In any event, that is going to kill that enemy, and that was just her first attack. Next attack is going to be at this guy over here. Again, this will be a base 3 with advantage, either a miss or a -2, but I get to target a couple of people with blesses, which is always nice. So not a lot of damage, just 1 damage, knocked it down to 4, and then I can go ahead and I guess I'll bless myself, or I'll bless Steely Dan, and I will bless Katie. Actually, I think it's more important to be able to move through Rita's deck as quickly as possible, so I am going to bless the Plague Herald instead. The Sunkeeper will gain an XP as that finishes off her Sanctify, and actually, just again, I'm going to backtrack slightly. After putting Thrilling Solo into play, I'm going to use the Master's Loot to give Rita a base note. That way, potentially, she could put another song into play next turn. Finally, she'll use Mobilizing Measure. I don't know if I'm going to leave her here or not, but I do need to start moving towards those cave bears, so I will go ahead and move Katie up too. Now Katie's up, she's going to be able to do her first attack, and I forgot she already has advantage from the sun she's going to consume, so actually I'll have Rita give advantage to Steely Dan instead. Don't know if he'll be able to attack anybody next turn, but I have some tricks, so I might be able to work that out. But going to Katie, so this is actually going to be a base 4 attack with advantage against the Vermling Scout. And welcome to the party with her first attack of her campaign. It is either going to be a 0 and generate a sun, I like that, or just a 0. So yeah, we will go ahead and generate sun, which is definitely going to be nice. Things were not kind of mapped out optimally in terms of being able to long rest and taking advantage of that generation. Now they are. So that is going to be 4 damage, just enough to kill the scout. Pretty good chance that Katie is going to be playing a move 3 next turn. So with her move 2, I'll have her go here and grab the loot. And At this point, I could also bless. Yeah, sure. Why not? Be such a shame not to. So I will throw a bless into Rita's deck. Now the Plague Herald is up, and it is time to wreck some enemies and give out the gifts of Zorn, as I will be able to go ahead and use Path of the Pox, targeting first the bear, and then jumping 3 to here, and then 2 to here. Unfortunately, I can't get the other one, but that is 3 enemies that have been plagued. And then the only question is whether or not I want to go ahead and plague the other cave bear as well. This, of course, would be using his new solo item, Pendant of the Plague. The problem is there's nobody within 3 of me to get the extra curse and extra plague token, so not worth it. I'll just stick with the 3, and then having plagued them up, I will go ahead and use Blistering Buboes to deal 4, 3, and 2 damage. Plague Herald gains 4 XP and has successfully completed his 2 checkmark battle goal, and that is going to be it for the Brain's turn. Now the Vermling Priest is up. It'll move 2 towards the nearest enemy, which is the Plague Herald, and then it will heal all allies within 1, which is none of them. And then last but not least, he will strengthen himself, and we are now through 2 full rounds, and I have not drawn any cards from the enemy attack modifier deck yet. That's probably going to change next round, but you never know. We'll see. Round 3, I have been completely wrecking this first room. Even though we're at scenario difficulty level 4, this crew is up to the task. Hopefully I can keep things going. Gonna have Rita going very fast, where she will be able to put yet another song into play, as well as should at this point be able to grant Steely Dan an attack since he'll move up and won't be able to attack, but then he'll be in range 3 to be able to attack probably the cave bear. And then not too far after that, I've got a move 3 and another attack with advantage, consuming an element for the Sunkeeper. Finally, the Plague Herald on 27. Hopefully the bears don't maul him too badly before then. They do have a 13 and a 14 initiative still available in their deck. Not much to be done for it, although potentially I could push one of the bears away. So let's see what they're doing. We're going 5, 17, and 27. The enemies the bears are doing nothing special on 41. I will have a chance to kind of reposition, move things around. Vermling Priest is hoping to do a calculated strike. Sorry, Vermling Priest, not going to happen. Rita's turn to start things off. Steely Dan will just move up 2, hanging out on top of that loot. And then she will go ahead. So first things first, I am going to grant an ally within range 3. So that'll be Steely Dan, an attack within range 3. No reason to attack the priest, since he's going to die from wilt and wither, so we will focus our fire on the cave bear. Unfortunately, Steely Dan no longer has advantage. That expired on his turn, but he will be able to use Ode to the Gambler. So it is, first card is a +1. We will definitely give that the rolling modifier. So then it is also going to be a stun. So again, I'd rather keep my songs in play, but not sad about that result. That's going to be 3 damage to the cave bear, and it's stunned. And actually, cave bear not stunned, because it'll just prevent that condition using its safeguard. Nevertheless, did do a bit of damage, down to 10, and then I will go ahead and something I rarely ever do. Have I ever played the top card of Echoing Aria? I don't know, but I'm going to do so now, spending my 2 base notes. So now all of my guys have a little bit of Retaliate. Now we get to do Rita's end of turn effects. So Dissonant Rhythm, she will get 2 attacks out of that. And I will send them both at the cave bear. They're both 6 away from me right now, or 7. 6 away, yeah. So again, no reason to attack this guy, even though I could push him into the trap. No, these will be 2 attacks against the cave bear. Each a 2 attack. First one does have the benefit of Ode to the Gambler. So Okay, times 2, and I will use Ode of the Gambler, because, again, the main goal, just keep moving through that deck, and that is exactly why. So that is going to be 4 damage, and once again, my notes, my songs, not ticking down. I will not push the Cave Bear, as I want him to remain where he is, and then I will go ahead and attack again, and this time it's going to be a miss. I will, however, push the Cave Bear 2 away, and then I will go ahead and give Katie the 2 movement from Mobilizing Measure, which will allow her to move up to here. She'll still be able to get in range of that bear. Sunkeeper's up next, and Katie will use her 3 movement to move up next to the Cave Bear, and then she will go ahead and do a Holy Strike, expending the sun that we generated last round to give herself advantage and pierce that isn't really necessary, but also +1, so here comes a 4 attack with advantage. That attack either going to be a -1 or a -2. So just 3 damage. You can kind of see here, this is how you get the other mastery going. If you have, you can consistently get these 4 attacks. If you can get enough blesses in there ×2, that's your 8 damage. You're looking to do that 3 times in a scenario. Again, that's going to take a little bit more investment of getting blesses into the deck. Not the focus of this scenario, of this game, but if I achieve the first mastery, definitely something I'll be looking to do next time. Next up is the Brain. He'll kick things off by using Wilt and Wither, his level 5 card, to go ahead and attack both Cave Bears. We'll start with the one that's already plagued, just going to be a 1 attack, ×2. So 2 damage to that guy, which almost. He's down to 1, and actually he is going to die. He's going to get a second plague token, and then Wilt and Wither is going to kill him. Then the attack against the other Cave Bear is going to be another ×2. There is the Bless that I put in earlier, or it could be one of the ones that I got from the Great Oak. Either way, that's going to be 2 damage to the other bear, who will then take a plague token. Then with Wilt and Wither, that will kill the elite, who was down to 1 health and has plague token, and do an additional 1 more damage to the Cave Bear. And I've got my movement. I'll just move him down 1 so he can pick up that loot. And unfortunately, the downside to my killing the other bear is that I was hoping the bear up here would come down next to him, and then Rita could push him into the trap. Unfortunately, the bear is now going to go the other way and target Katie instead. Unfortunately, my streak of not drawing any cards from the enemy attack modifier deck is now going to come to an end. It would have been nice to be able to use the stun powder to stun that bear, but unfortunately, he does still have his safeguard protection. So this bear will go 1, 2, 3 up next to Katie, and we'll go ahead and do a 4 attack, though thanks to the card she played, it will at least be at disadvantage. And there are some curses in there? No. Okay, so it's either going to be a poison or a -1. It'll be a -1, so that's 3 damage, and she'll take a wound. Cave Bear will take 1 retaliate damage from Echoing Aria, and that'll be it for round 3. Not a ton of options here in round 4, as I am trying to keep the mastery going, and Rita's down to her last 2 cards. Plague Herald, nice little setup here where I can go ahead and poison the enemy and then transfer that poison to, and of course that won't work, but then I can go ahead, get rid of the safeguard, and poison him by transferring poison over. So nice little combo that I have not used in a while. So let's see when the enemies are going. For Rita, I also runtime decision as to which cards I'm going to use top and bottom. Middle of the pack for me, 27, 35, and 36. Good chance the Cave Bears go before me. Let's see. Nope. Doing claw swipes on 61. So let's see how much damage I can do to it before it comes to that. Rita's up, but first Steely Dan is going to have to go all the way around because of the tree. So it's just going to move 2 in this direction. Rita really wants loot, but I think more important to try and take this guy out. There is certainly a possibility of that. There's a bunch of attacks incoming. So I'm going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to put me within range 3 of the Sunkeeper, and then I can go ahead and grant her a 4 attack. All right, is it a time for a ×2? Let's see. It is going to be not a ×2, just 4 damage, but still pretty good, knocking the bear down to 8. Then for Rita's end of turn, she does have the opportunity to do a couple of attacks. Again, she's still got that thrilling solo dissonant rhythm combo. My streak of not taking down my songs might be at an end, but you never know. First attack is going to be, well, they're both going to be 2 attacks. The first one, I do get to use Ode to the Gambler, which, of course, I will. So it is going to be a +1. Wow. The fates are with me this game. Rolled right into it. That's going to be 3 damage to the bear. Let's go ahead and do the second attack, which is going to be another 3 damage. So that's 6 damage. And for the 4th turn in a row, I'm not gaining any XP out of any of these songs, but they'll advance at some point, but not yet. For mobilizing measure, Rita's got a couple of targets. I will actually have Steely Dan move to so he can get a little bit closer to the door. And that is going to do it for her turn. Now, the brain did have noble intentions, as he's going to use rot maggots to attack the bear. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to be able to remove the poison from Rita because he's likely to kill the bear. So time for her to receive her first gift. This is going to be a 4 attack against the bear. I just need to not miss. That is going to be, +1, 5 damage. It's dead. She's still poisoned. And that is, and then I do, since I'm not using the other ability, I do have 2 movement. So I'll just pop down here and grab this coin. This was supposed to be lots of treasure for Rita. She has not picked up much yet. In fact, she hasn't picked up any yet. We'll get her eventually. We'll keep things going for Katie for her mastery streak, as she will go ahead and heal herself for 3. First, she'll take a wound damage, and then the heal will actually get rid of the wound and the poison that I hadn't marked that she just took. That'll generate Sun, and then instead of the 4 movement, I will just move 1 so that I can collect both of these coins. Sorry, Rita, but equipment, heavy armor is expensive. That's going to do it for round 4. Once again, Rita's songs will not tick down. She is out of cards. Thought about doing a short rest, but this is actually a good opportunity for her to take a long rest. She'll go late on 99. I will be able to, should be fun, as I'm going to have the Plague Herald open the door and then can potentially just, at the end of his turn, teleport back to where he was. But opening the door means Rita's got line of sight. She'll still be able to do some attacks. And Steely Dan will be able to move forward. So it should be an interesting turn next go around. But I am going to call it a night, and I will be back very shortly. I am back, and I am ready to go with round 5. I've actually been thinking quite a bit about what's coming next, looking forward to it. And I am going to have Rita do a long rest. I'm going to have no enemies on the board right now, but that'll change soon enough, I assume, as I'm going to have the Plague Herald be the one to open the door using his cloak so that he'll actually be able to go back to where he started, out of range. Might put Steely Dan in a little bit of difficulty depending on what the enemies are doing and what we find in there. Because after kind of going back and forth with what to do with Katie, I think she's actually going to stay out of the mix for this because she's only got... I actually, in choosing her cards, I left out all of her really low initiatives. That I should probably keep at least one of them. It would be beneficial. There are certainly times, like in this case, where being able to go very late in the round would be beneficial. Since I can't do that, since I can't even go after the Plague Herald, she is going to go in another direction, get some loot, and get ready for next turn. So starting with Katie, she is going to consume the light. That'll give her a total of 5 movement, which is enough. She's going to actually backtrack and go down here to where the loot is. And then she is going to go ahead and strengthen and bless herself and regenerate the light. Now the Plague Herald is up, and the Brain is going to be using his 5 movement to open the door. But before I do that, I am going to go ahead and use the Cloak of Phasing, so we can mark off where I am right now. At the end of my turn, I will teleport back to that spot, safely out of range of whatever he finds when he opens the door. It's also going to give me jump, which will allow me to jump over the bush and trap, get to the door in 4 moves instead of 5. And so I will start there, going 1, 2, 3, 4, opening the door. All right, so here is the scenario. This section here that I've just walked onto is actually a derelict ship, where all of the Vermlings are making camp, and wow, do they have a lot of loot just lying all over the place. A whole bunch of coins, a whole bunch of Vermlings, all scouts. So I'm gonna have to deal with those. Still have 1 more movement. Let's see what they're doing. All right, drawing for the many Vermling scouts, and they are not moving, and that actually is very unfortunate because I was hoping that Steely Dan could run up and attack them. I was hoping they'd come outside, that Rita could, or not Rita, that Katie could go and attack next turn, but maybe if I go late in the round, we will have to see. Might not be long for Steely Dan to stick around. Fortunately, they are only range 4, so I think only one of them is going to be able to attack Steely Dan, so that's good. All right, well, now seems a good a time as any to use the Scepter of Zorn. I am not going to move anymore. I'll just stay right there, and I will poison and curse the 3 nearest enemies. Then I'll go ahead and use Nightmarish Affliction to attack the 2 elites here. Gonna have to poison Steely Dan to pull that off, and then I will be able to poison and curse both of them. We'll attack the top one first. Going to be a 1 attack, which is a -1, so no damage. And then the guy in the bottom, it is going to be a +1 and a stun. Stun doesn't really matter, but +1 is nice. That's 2 damage to him. They are both cursed and poisoned. So that is 5 curses shuffled into the enemy attack modifier deck and 5 enemies poisoned. I could go really crazy and use my Pendant of the Plague to make it 6 for 6, but I'll hang on to that when I've actually got 2 more enemies I can poison. We still have 2 more rooms to work through. So that being that, end of the turn, I will then use with the Cloak of Phasing, nope out of here, and teleport back to here. And that will be it for me. Now for the enemies, only one of them going to be able to do anything. The Vermling Scout, the elite over here, is the only one in range of Steely Dan. He will go ahead and do an attack. So that is going to be a 3 attack. With a +1 is 4 damage. I will use, and he's poisoned, so it's actually 5 damage. I will, however, use the Warden's Robes to give him 2 shields. So he'll just take 3 damage. Not great, though. He's down to 2. Oh, and last thing I did mean to do is use the Amulet of Life on the Plague Herald's turn, since he had to poison himself to use the Scepter. That'll get rid of the poison. Now Rita's up, taking her long rest. Steely Dan will march towards his doom, as he'll move up 2, will not attack anybody, but now Rita does get to do her long rest, and then she's going to be able to do her end of turn abilities. For her long rest, I will have her lose Singing Arrow, which was definitely useful, but since that was the fringe card putting in my deck, we can let that one go. Now for Rita's end of turn, once again, she will use Dissonant Rhythm along with Thrilling Solo to go ahead and attack the nearest enemy, which is going to be the elite here. So that'll be the first attack. This will be a 2 attack, and I keep forgetting to use Ode to the Gambler. I will try not to forget now, as it will be a +1. I'll give it a rolling modifier, which once again has rolled me into my ability to keep my songs around. The train rolls on, or do trains roll? I think I have mixed my metaphors. Nevertheless, what I have done is 3 damage to the elite, plus the poison, so actually 4 damage. And you know what? I think instead of pushing it away, I'm going to keep it where it is, do the second attack, hopefully kill it. So here we go. That it is down to 4. Incoming a 2 attack is going to be a ×2. So yeah, plus with the poison, that's 6 damage. That is going to take that enemy out. Then with mobilizing measure, she will go ahead and give 2 movement to the nearest ally, which is Katie, who is going to get a little bit closer to the action. And yeah, I was really hoping these guys would come out so I could push one of them into the trap. I don't know, maybe I'll just have the Plague Herald run into the trap. I don't know. We'll have to see what we're doing as I prepare for the next round. One other thing to note, when I did the long rest for Rita, I am going to shuffle Echoing Aria back into the mix. That way I've got a good initiative card, plus that'll put 5 cards in hand, and I can use my stamina potion to get back up to 6. Let me go a little longer before I have to rest again. And then the other question is, do I want a short rest with Katie or give her a long rest? I think that is probably the case. I'll have her do a long rest. I would have had her do a short rest if the enemies had come out and I could run up and attack them. But that doesn't seem like that's going to be the situation yet. I guess I also have to decide the Plague Herald. Do I have him do a long rest or a short rest? So a bunch of stuff to mull over here. Round 6, and because there's a reasonable chance that the Vermlings go pretty slow, they may not even leave the room, I am going to have my other 2 characters long rest. I will have Rita go on the quicker side. In fact, that should be before the scouts get to go. And while Steely Dan will advance, I then have the potential to either move him into the room and attack or move him out if I'm looking to draw the enemies out. Really depends on what their card is, so let's find out. For the Vermling Scouts, it is going to be a Cruel Bow. So moving a little bit, not that much, but the question is, can I get out of range? Not sure, gonna have to see. Steely Dan will kick things off by marching closer to the enemy. We don't want that, but that is what he's going to do. We'll have to see what I can do with 3 movement to him, but that is going to do it for his turn, and now Rita is up. Can't completely avoid all the attacks. I think I'm going to have to take 1, but I can have Rita take it. What I'm going to do is, I think it's better not to just burn off Steely Dan just for 1 attack. So I'm going to have her go 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll put her within range 3 of Steely Dan, and then she can go ahead and grant him 3 movement so he can move away. And he will go, I guess I can go 1, actually, let's go towards Rita, 1, 2, 3. Because that is going to set me up that now I could potentially use mobilizing measure to move him even more. Rita will generate a base note from that, and then she can go ahead, do her end of turn abilities. Also, I realize I am blocking off where she is, so let's show you she's there. She can now do 2 attacks. I believe going to have to target this guy first, but then I could potentially push him, target one of the elites. So that first attack is going to be a 3 attack with the poison. And that is going to be just 3 damage, and I will push him 2 back. You can push them through their allies. So he's down to 2. Now I can target one of the elites. All right, now the second attack, I will go against the elite that I've already damaged, see if we can bring him down a bit more, or if I get lucky, take him out. So going to be a 3 attack with the poison, plus 0, so just 3 damage, knocking him down to 3, nowhere to push him, so that is going to do it for that. And you know, I just reread Thrilling Solo, and I have completely forgotten, for I don't even know how many scenarios now, that the second attack gets +1. So that is going to be an additional damage to this guy. And in terms of last round, I think they were both against the same guy. Yeah, so it wouldn't have mattered. Now with mobilizing measure, however, I will move Steely Dan to safety, which actually means he's probably not going to attack next turn. But that's all right. Rita's going to be doing plenty of attacking. So with him safely there, now the Vermlings can go. For the Vermlings, it's a move 3, attack 3, starting with the lower elite. So he'll move into the door. That puts him in range of Rita. And so now he will go ahead and attack her. 3 attack is going to be 3 damage. Come on, where are the curses? Also a wound on Rita. Next elite will just move up to, go there, not in range of attack, and now all of the non-elites will also be able to move too. So this guy will go first. Any other move doesn't get him any closer. Then this guy will move here, and then finally this guy will move here. All nice and bunched up, but still far away. Did I bring ranged attack for Rita? That's not, or for Katie? That's not a loss. I'll have to double check. But all that said, well, there's going to be some interesting stuff going on next turn, as Rita is going to, you know it, pull the strings. However, that is the end of this round. Oh no, actually we're not done with the round yet. I still have a pair of long rests to do. So for the long rests, I'm going to have the Plague Herald lose Spread the Plague, and Katie the Sunkeeper is going to lose Purifying Aura at this point. Probably going to be moving forward a bit, and certainly that was a great card for turn 1, but not necessarily as useful moving forward. Plague Herald will get back his amulet. Katie will heal up a couple. She'll regenerate light, so that's back to strong. It'll be waning next turn, but I do plan on using it. And we can prep for round 7. Oh, I also do have to tick down all of Rita's songs. The plus side is she does gain 4 XP. Rita is going to have some fun this turn, as when she pulls the strings, she's actually going to be able to do it twice. And I did double check the FAQ. You get to move both enemies, so if they won't come to me, I will bring them over. She'll also be able to fire off another attack, and possibly loot too, depending on how things go. Then the Plague Herald will follow up on 11 with his usual starting suite when he's got his full hand of a couple of biting gnats, and then also potentially, I actually want him to move up so maybe he can take some damage. And then finally, I'm actually going to have Katie go much later. She's not attacking this round, so I'll have her go on 63. 5, 11, 63 for the Vermling Scouts. Just a not moving at all. Just a Noxious Blade on 92. All right. Well, let's see how much I can wreck them before it gets to that. Steely Dan, who will move up to, not into the trap. That is for somebody else, as now on her turn, Rita will, well, first take a wound damage, but then she will go ahead and pull the strings, targeting these 2 enemies. And I guess, well, the order does matter, because the second one I attack will get the +1, so I'm actually going to attack the elite first. This will be 2 attack +1 from the poison, so a 3 attack. And first card, my notes are staying in play. Fantastic. At this point, I actually do need to get through my deck to get the redraw. But in this case, I do want to kill this guy. I don't want to risk accidentally drawing into a loss, so I will not use Ode to the Gambler. And that being the case, having dealt 3 damage, I guess, I don't know if I use Pull the Strings move ability now. I think I have to do the attack abilities first. So then I will go ahead and attack the non-elite above. Just mark off that this guy did take 3 damage. And now against the other one, it is going to be +1, so 4 damage, and another +1, right? So it's a base 2, the poison makes it 3, +1 makes it 4, Thrilling Solo makes it 5. I'm not going to get to move that guy because I killed him. I do, however, get to move this guy, which he's going to move to right into the trap, which is going to do 6 damage to him, taking him out. Then I'll go ahead and use Echoing Aria to attack the other elite, who is just in range, at range 4, and that'll be a 1 attack +1 the poison, so a 2. Drawing for that will be a +1 is 3, and Rita is just slaughtering the enemies in this room, another 1 dead. And on top of that, Rita does have a loot, so she finally picks up her first loot of the scenario. Plenty more to be had in that next room. Yeah, so she generates a treble note from either one, doesn't really matter, and that's it for the main part. And now, well, only 1 attack with Dissonant Rhythm, but there is the closest enemy. Actually, I guess she could choose between the 2, so do I want to just take down the guy who's at 1, or go after the guys at 5? Yeah, let's go after the guys at 5. Maybe I'll get lucky. Yeah, especially since the Plague Herald has biting gnats coming up. So here we go. This guy's not poisoned, so it would take a lot of luck. I don't even know that there's any way I can do this, but nevertheless, a 2 attack. It's going to be no damage, but I do get to bless a couple of people. So I think in this case, I will certainly bless the Sunkeeper, and then I'll also give another bless to the Plague Herald. I could push that guy, but I'm fine leaving him where he is. Mobilizing Measure, I'm actually going to have him move up too. Yeah, no reason to send up Steely Dan while he's still poisoned and in danger of dying. Rita's doing a pretty good job on her own of keeping things going. The Brain is up next. He will use his 1, 2, 3 movement to land here on the ship. So out of range of getting attacked. Wow. A lot of loot coming in for him this game. And now he will use Biting Gnats to attack both enemies. Since the first one gets Ode to the Gambler, I will use that to target the one at full health. And so the first card is a +1. I will take the rolling modifier and another +1 and a stun. Not that he's moving anyway, but that is going to do 3 damage. Then the attack against the other one is going to be, well, there's a bless, so that will take him out. Katie's up next. She'll start by healing Rita and then using the light to let Rita get a card back. At this point, what Rita needs most is movement, so her 5 move is unfortunately a level 2 card, so I'll give her back a call to action. Katie will then use 3 movement to go 1, 2, 3, and do we want to shuffle in a bless? There's not a lot available. I'm actually not going to use... Is that silly? To not use the bless ability? No, I actually want her to reshuffle her deck. The longer I can keep all these songs into play, the more effective Rita's going to be. Last up is the sole surviving Vermling Scout. They hardly knew what hit them, and he is looking for someone to attack without movement. Nobody to attack. That is the end of his turn. That is also the end of this round, and so far, so good. I mean, yeah, I want to get Rita up, and I might just open the door and keep things going. She is such a powerhouse this game with all these abilities. Why not? Also, I am going to want to grab all this loot. There are only 5 loot tokens left, so probably going to be more than 5 enemies left. So eventually I'm going to get to a point where they're not dropping loot, so all the more reason. I did leave 1 behind all the way back off camera. I can live with that. Let's prepare for the next round. One quick thing at the end of the round, or technically during the Plague Herald's turn, I am going to have him use his stamina potion to get Biting Gnats back. So, round 8, just have the 1 enemy, but I plan on keeping things moving forward, having the Plague Herald open the door. Rita will be able to run up into the room. I think she actually may just smack the enemy with her fists to try and take him out. Katie going to be coming in. She's going to need to go ahead and generate some more light so that she can keep that mastery going. And yeah, we'll see what we're going to face in the next section of the ship. And you can see I've got a couple of my characters going on their slower initiative card. Also, Katie should be at 10 health, not 8. But I do want the Brain going first so he can open the door. Then Rita going next so she can shoot at things that are on the other side of the door. And then finally Katie so that she can strengthen Rita for next round. My hope being that if Rita can draw into either her ×2 or her miss now, she'll be able to reshuffle her deck. Then next round she'll be strengthened and be able to draw a bunch of cards in the hopes of continuing to keep those songs in play. Now, for the Vermling Scout, hasty assault on 40, so should have them dead before that happens. Also good to know about what we might be facing if there are more Vermling Scouts in the next room. The Brain will kick things off by kicking in the door. He will go ahead and move 1, 2, 3 into the door. Still got 2 movement left. Let's see what he finds. Well, unsurprisingly, we have discovered another room full of vermlings. Are they keeping a cave bear in a cage on this boat? I guess we'll find out when we enter the the final room, which is up here. Interesting thing about this, so this is the wealth scenario. There's coins all over the place. I did not actually have enough to place enough tokens in the room because in 2nd edition, there's only 25 coin tokens, and they've all been placed. So kind of a bummer. I'm not going to be able to get any more money tokens from killing enemies. I was kind of counting on the one I was going to get from that guy. We'll just have to make sure we pick up everything we can, and hopefully those scouts don't get greedy and try and take it away from us. All right, so let's take a look. You can see in this room, in addition to the 4 scouts, we already know what they're doing. There's also a couple of priests, so let's move over to Xhaven. And you can see here that the priests are going to be moving to doing a ranged attack, but I'm pretty sure that I can avoid that attack as I have 2 movement left. With the rest of his movement, the brain will retreat back here, which is going to give him a coin. So now with biting gnats, I will go ahead, and it still is range 5, so I can go ahead and get the 2 elite scouts. These are both just a 1 attack. The first one is going to be a +2, and yeah, why not? I will go ahead and use Ode to the Gambler, so we are at a 3, and I'm going to be able to heal an ally, and then I am going to be able to poison somebody, and then another +1, so wow, 4 damage. I'll be able to remove the poison from Steely Dan, and then put poison either on the guy I attacked, or actually, I guess I'll do it to the guy behind him. Or do I want to... Yeah, I was going to say I could do it to one of the elites, but that guy still has 4... The priests, but that guy has 4 shields, is able to heal, so potentially... So yeah, I'll just go ahead and throw the poison on the 2nd elite that I'm about to attack. So now the attack on the other elite, which with the poison is going to be a 2 attack, and +1, 3 damage. Both enemies will be plagued and muddled, and then the only other question is if I wanted to use the Pendant of the Plague, but that I do want to hold on to. I'd rather have plague on more enemies, especially the priests, so that I can damage them with other means. Next up are the Vermin Priests. As we said, they're going to do their drain speed, so this guy will move up 2, not in range, and then this guy will also move up 2, and again, I thought I was out of line of sight, but that guy actually can target me. So yeah, I'm going to have to take the attack. Just a 2 attack from the non-elite is going to be 2 damage. No problem. Happy to take that. Of course, Plague Herald will also be muddled and immobilized. Next up is Rita. Of course, Steely Dan first will just move up 2 towards the door. And then now with Rita up, I don't often even need to use them, but I will use her weather boots to give her +1 movement. So she's got to move 5. That's going to allow her to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That just gives her a little bit better line of sight in the room. So even though she's getting a little bit less loot, she'll grab the 1 loot coin, and then I will have her go ahead and attack this guy so I can take him out and don't have to waste one of my dissonant rhythm attacks on him. Of course, there is a miss in there, so let's see. I have drawn a ×2. Do I want to give it a rolling modifier? Yeah, we'll gamble. Ode to the Gambler, and interesting. I grant any one ally move to or attack to. There's no limit on range there, so a couple rolling modifiers. Another one. That is a miss. Unfortunate, but it doesn't really matter because I would have just rolled into that anyway. Now I don't have to worry about missing it. And yeah, my next attack will be a disadvantage, but I should still be able to take that guy out. All right, so with the 2 movement, I think just to kind of set myself up, I am going to move Steely Dan over here. And he'll probably end up just staying there. But he'll be in a position to move up, attack enemies next turn. Then I'm going to go ahead and use my end of turn abilities. So it will be Dissonant Rhythm first, in attack disadvantage against the guy right next to me. And check that, Dissonant Rhythm, not a ranged attack, so not at disadvantage. It doesn't have any range icon on the card, so we'll just draw one card, a 2 attack, +1 strengthen. That'll take this guy out. Unfortunately, no loot to be dropped. And then in terms of strengthening, I guess has to be an ally, so I'll go ahead and strengthen Steely Dan. Then the next attack will be against the priest. It's going to be a 3 attack with the +1 bonus against 3 shields, but it is 2 pierce, so only dealing with 1 shield, and that attack is going to be not quite enough to kill it, but it will stun it, and it's down to 1. And with mobilizing measure, it doesn't really matter. I'll just slide him over here though, so he's not covering up the loot. Not that it, again, doesn't matter. I'm going to be using a loot action next round, almost certainly, but that is going to do it for Rita's turn. Now Katie's up. She's got 3 movement, which puts her here. I was debating potentially using her armor here, but there's going to be enemies coming in that I do want to muddle. I am taking away a lot of this loot from Rita. Hopefully we'll make it up to her, let her get most of the loot in the final room if the scouts don't get greedy. But they're all going to be in here, so I think we'll be okay. So that is going to be her movement, and then for her ability, she is going to strengthen and bless herself and generate light. Also, I just realized that moving Steely Dan over here would actually make him the target of one of these scout attacks, potentially. So yeah, I'm just going to leave him in the corner. Speaking of the scouts, they are up, and starting with the elites, the one in the back, they have a move 5, so 1, 2, 3 just needs to move 4 to get up and attack the Plague Herald with disadvantage. And that is going to be either a +1 or a 0, so 2 damage. Plague Herald is perfectly happy to take that in the name of the Blood God. Next up, the other one also has a move 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4. It will target the Plague Herald with the lower initiative, and that attack, again, a 2 attack at disadvantage, either a +1 or +1 for 3 damage. And actually now I'm looking at Hasty Assault. I forgot they're both elites, so that's going to be 2 more damage on top of that. That is going to knock the Plague Herald down to 1, which is putting him perilously close to death. He embraces death, just not actual death or exhaustion. We will just need to be a little bit more careful moving forward, making sure he is not the target. Fortunately, he's got not very fast initiative. He's not going anywhere, but I'll be able to move other people up. So now on to the other enemies. We have the 2 non-elites moving for an attacking 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy will run up and... actually, I guess I calculated that wrong. It doesn't really matter. He's going to go ahead and attack Katie at disadvantage because of the movement card she played. And that is going to be either a curse or a curse. Yeah, I had a feeling that was coming. So that's too bad. She doesn't take any damage. And then the last guy with 4 movement is just going to move up on to this coin, is as close as he can get. Wouldn't this be a good time for Rita to have her push and stun 4? Alas. That's going to do it for the enemies. That's going to do it for the round. And Rita is going to need to rest. I want her going fast, so I need to help thin out the herd here, so she is going to take a short rest. Also, all of her songs will tick down 1, no XP gain this time. That is going to do it for the round. Everybody else should be good to go. Oh, and for Rita's short rest, I drew pull the strings, don't want to lose that, so I did take a chance, maybe losing my loot card, but no, I ended up losing this one instead. All right, so round 9, and now that everybody's on the boat, we can just focus on that section. I've added the last section. I guess I will end up rotating these enemies and make them a little easier to see as we go through them. But going through what I'm doing for this round, I've got Rita going very fast. I just need to start loading out some damage. She'll also be able to do a little bit of looting. And I've got the Plague Herald going as fast as he can, just so that he, in case he needs to stun an enemy based on what they're drawing, can't move. So that's unfortunate, but he will be able to do Wilt and Wither, get some more Plague tokens out, a little bit more damage that way. And then Katie ready to get in there and do a couple of attacks since she is strengthened and will have advantage this turn. Not until 39, but most of these enemies are pretty slow. Let's see what happens. We have priests and scouts. Yeah, slower than me. So the scouts are doing a pretty large poison attack. The priests are doing nothing special. So now that we have a sense of what they're doing, let's see how much damage we can do. So Rita's up first, which of course means Steely Dan will kick things off. He's going to target the elite here, moving up one, and then he will go ahead. He does have advantage for this attack, at least. It will be a 3 attack with advantage against him. Deck is shuffled. All of our attack modifiers to keep our songs from advancing are available. I will go ahead and use my item to look at the top 2 cards in my deck, and those are going to be a +1 and a -2. Yep, those are going to the bottom. So now here comes the attack with advantage. And, well, I am not going to give that a rolling modifier since it would apply. So not going to use Ode to the Gambler. So either a miss or a +1. It is a +1. That'll be 4 damage, which is going to kill that elite. Now, I do want to make sure that Plague Herald is not the target of an attack. So we'll put Steely Dan at risk by giving him a call to action. He will move up and then be able to do a 2 attack against the poisoned elite. This attack will not have advantage as that expired at his turn, but just to straight up, it is his first attack of this turn, so we can use Ode to the Gambler. No reason not to, having, well, let's see. Yeah, there's still no reason not to because I've removed my miss. I don't have any curses in my deck. So using Ode to the Gambler to go through my deck, there we go. So it's a 2 attack times 2. Actually, the poison, it's a 3 attack, so times 2 is 6. It's going to take him out. Rita is now maxed out on bass notes and treble notes for that matter, as she will take the bass note, and then she will go ahead and use Echoing Aria. I'll attack this guy. So a 1 attack against him is going to be, keep my songs in play. We are reshuffling, so it's not a big deal. I will use Ode to the Gambler, see if we can up that damage a bit. Yeah, +1, so 2 damage. Then with Thrilling Solo, I'll go ahead. I'll attack the same target. It'll be a +1, so this is now a 2 attack. And +1 is a 3, and Strengthen an Ally. Plague Herald, not likely to penetrate those shields with his big 1 attack. So that being the case, I am just going to give advantage to Steely Dan again. Although I'm not even sure Steely Dan is going to have a target to attack next round. So you know what? That being the case, I will give advantage to the Plague Herald. Now for end of turn effects, well, I got to use Dissonant Rhythm on the guy closest to me, even though that is Katie's target. We will go ahead and see what happens. Just a 2 attack, and it will be +0, so 3 damage. Or, sorry, 2 damage. Also, should not forget that Rita did have a loot ability. She got to loot those 2 coins. Finally, Mobilizing Measure. She will have Katie move up to, and that is going to do it for Rita's turn. Now the brain is up, can't move, but he can go ahead and do Wilt and Wither. He can target both enemies. That's what he'll do. We will start with the non-elite and then the elite. Straight up attack. First one will have Ode to the Gambler. So going to be nothing. So sure, we will gamble, see what the next card is. The next card is a rolling modifier. So that is, yeah, give the target or another one poison. Let us continue on. +1. So 2 damage against 3 shields. Yeah, didn't think I was going to get through a question, who do I want to poison? Well, he's going to be dead, so I'll go ahead and poison the other one. Now the attack against the elite is going to be -1, no damage, but more importantly, he is plagued. And actually, I'm just going to backtrack slightly. At this point, I might as well go ahead and get some extra plague out, so I am going to use my item. That is Pendant of the Plague. They're both within range. I will poison Rita so that I can target them both. So that'll be 2 more curses into the deck. They are both poisoned. Doesn't change anything. The other guy still wouldn't have taken any damage. But the reason I wanted to use the pendant now is now with Wilt and Wither, they will take damage based on the number of plague counters. So this guy will take 1 and die. And then the other guy will take 2. And then the only other decision I would have to make is, would I want to stun that guy? It's not a very big attack. I'll just take it. Next up is Katie. She's going to go ahead and use Holy Strike. I keep forgetting she's got advantage anyway with this ability. But yeah, she'll consume the light to give herself even more advantage. But more importantly, +1. So now it is a 4 attack. Potentially, I could actually take this guy out. Work towards my mastery. I don't know if there's enough enemies for me to finish it off. But nevertheless, let's see what happens. All right, so this is a 4 attack with advantage. Is either going to be, hey, there we go, a ×2 or a +1. I do have Ode to the Gambler, and maybe I generate a light. So yeah, I'll use it. So it's actually a rolling modifier on the ×2, and then either a +1 or a +1. So either way, that's actually 10 damage. That will obliterate that enemy, and a 1 out of 3 for my battle goal, or I should say my mastery goal. But again, not holding out too much hope. There's not a lot left, just 1 more room to explore. And I had another attack queued up, but I'm not even in range of anything. I cleared out this room so well. I'm just going to have her move up 1 to claim that coin. That'll also put her in the line of fire. She can take the attack from the elite instead of Steely Dan. Speaking of which, let's finish things out by having the Vermling Priest go. It's going to be a 3 attack from the Priest against Rita, and it is going to be -1, so just 2 damage. And did I say Rita? I meant Katie. In any event, that is going to do it for that guy. That is the end of its turn. That is the end of the round. We can start to prepare for round 10. Just the one enemy out there, and Rita's song's not ticking down, so that's good news. If we want to keep that going, we got to rush up and open the next door as well. All right, round 10, and looks like we're going to try having a little fun with the level 2 card for the Sun Speaker, as Katie is going to use Mobilizing Axiom to give everybody, including herself, 4 movement. It's a lost ability. First time I've used one of those for her. Looking forward to giving that a try. And then, of course, she needs to generate light to keep that streak going. For the other 2, I'm going to have them go after. I'll flip Rita's initiatives, take the slower one. These are the last 2 cards each room had left, so I haven't actually given that much thought to what I'm going to do. I'll kind of make a game time decision based on what the Priest is doing, and so let's find that out right now. 23, 34, and 43 for us, and also 23 for the Priest. He's healing himself. Oh, but he's poisoned, so that is good news, and not too bad. So, all right, let's kick things off with Katie. So first up, Katie will use the bottom part of Mobilizing Axiom to give everybody 4 movement. She'll move first, going 1, 2, 3, 4, onto the coin here, which she'll be able to collect at the end of her turn. And then, let's see, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Plague Herald will move up this way. We will move Rita 1, 2, 3, 4 into the doorway. And last but not least, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get him closer to the next door as well. And got that covered up. So there you go. That is where we have positioned Steely Dan. And now I just have to decide who I want to give a heal to. I mean, I could give it to Steely Dan, but I think let's make sure that I don't mess around with the Plague Herald. He's only at 1 health, so I will heal him back up to 4. Katie will also gain 2 XP for that, and that'll do it for her turn. Next up, the Vermling Priest will tend to the clan. At this point, he is a clan of 1. He will go ahead and remove the poison from himself. No need to move, he's within melee range. Next up are Rita and Steely Dan. Steely Dan going first, attempting a 3 attack against the 4 shields of the elite. We do have Ode to the Gambler in play here, so might be able to make some hay. Well, hey, there is a great card. Once again, songs will not tick down, and sure, I'll go ahead and apply Ode to the Gambler so I can draw another card. A ×2, so yeah, that's a 6 versus the 4 shields. Managed to get 2 damage and knock it down to 1. Now for Rita, definitely want to have her give herself strengthen, as I think I am going to... It's a good incentive to open the door next turn. Even if she's long resting, she'll still be able to fire off some attacks. So she will strengthen herself, and I guess in that case, she'll also strengthen Steely Dan. Actually, you know what? You never know what might happen. I'll have her strengthen Katie instead, in case Katie potentially wants to go try and work towards that mastery, depending on what enemies are on the other side. So that being the case, we'll do that. Can't generate a note. Last thing she's got is movement. I'm just going to move her here. This is going to put her in good position. There's actually loot underneath that guy, so she'll be able to collect tons of loot with her loot card when it comes to it. That, however, is going to do it for the main part of her turn. Now she is going to be able to do 2 attacks with Dissonant Rhythm against the elite, who's down to 1 health. The Pierce, definitely going to come in handy here. First attack is going to be a 2 attack at advantage. So, of course, we'll apply Ode to the Gambler here, and then it'll either be another 0 or a +2. Yeah, there's no point in doing another attack. So yeah, I'll just take the +2. That'll be a 4 attack with 2 Pierce. That'll take out the elite. She'll then use Mobilizing Measure, and we'll give the movement to the Plague Herald so that on his turn, if he wants to put a bottom card into play, he can do that and still get some loot out of it. Finally, the Plague Herald, who could open the door with the just a 2 movement, kind of move in, step back, poison a couple of enemies, but also be susceptible to all the attacks coming in. Would rather not take that chance. What I think I will do instead, I'm doing pretty good on cards. There's not a lot of this scenario left, so I am going to go ahead and put Nightmarish Affliction into play, the bottom ability, so that I can get some extra attacks in, plague up some more enemies, or whatever it is I decide to do. And that is pretty much going to be it for the Plague Herald's turn, who will pick up this loot. And that will be that for the round. I am also going to have the Plague Herald short rest here. I'm going to use my Amulet of Life to get back up to 5 health. And then with the short rest, I would have lost Rot Maggots. That's a card I really don't want to lose, both because the double use of either being able to do my biggest attack and being able to do 2 of them with Nightmarish Affliction, or from the bottom standpoint, if I'm going to plague up a bunch of enemies, that's a good way of dealing damage. So that being the case, I did spend the 1 life I just gained, so back down to 4, and I ended up losing Rabid Bite instead. And Katie has down to 2 cards in hand, so she also needs to short rest so that she can get her battle goal. She ended up losing Daybreak, which, again, is fine. I like the movement and the disadvantage, but do want to make sure I get my mastery, which I think I'm fine for. I haven't even used my element potion yet, so might not have needed to bring that. Might have been overkill. That said, now we are ready to move on to round 11. Round 11, we're going to keep things moving along. I will have the Plague Herald go first, open the door, He's got enough movement to then move behind Katie if necessary. For her part, I gave her some good movement, at least 3, so she can find a target, hopefully get up and whack somebody with that, strengthen, potentially draw into another bless. Keep hope alive for that second mastery. Of course, she will certainly be consuming an element this turn. I might just infuse an element as well using my element potion. We'll see how things shape out. And then I am going to have Rita long rest. Not so much, well, because I do want to choose what card she loses. I want to make sure I hold on to my loot card. But also just because I'd rather wait till the end of the round and let the enemies do all their stuff. The scouts have some potentially very high, very low, whatever. They're very late initiative values. Let's give people a chance to move up to the door frame so that Steely Dan can get in there, take advantage of his advantage. So the Plague Herald is going to kick things off on 21. Just a note with Katie, she's got a 29 and a 55. I actually am going to have her go on 55. I was thinking about it. Most likely, Plague Herald's going to poke his head in back up. He's got a ranged 5 attack. So I'd rather draw the enemies towards me so that Steely Dan can get a chance to attack. And we shall see what happens. And oh look, they have a cave bear. And it is not in a cage. It is just hanging out here in the fore of the ship and probably wants to eat something that isn't a vermling. So we've got a little bit of everything in here. 3 vermling scouts, a priest, a cave bear, all walk into a boat and we slaughter them. Perhaps. Let's see what they're going to do before we decide how to finish the brain's turn. Okay, they are going to be doing... The Vermling Scouts are feeling greedy. Fortunately, we've already collected all the loot nearby. Don't have to worry. They're not going to loot the treasure chest. It's only money tiles, so I don't really have to worry about that, and that's certainly going to draw them out of the room. That is excellent. The Vermling Priest doing a calculated strike, although only moving 2 in range 3, so I can certainly get out of the way of that. The Cave Bear, 3 attack, move 2, 4 attack, can absolutely avoid that, so... this should work out pretty well as we will let them come to us. Yeah, I think by pulling the brain back 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he's still able to tag these 2, and that will then draw all the enemies out of the room. I think if I were to stay close enough to plague the bear and this guy, wouldn't work out as well. I can do that next turn. So, although, I can actually do 3 attacks. So, all right, let me rethink that. Upon further review, I think it's worthwhile to get the extra attack in to distribute the plague. I don't mind taking an attack. I actually could stun this guy, although the key here is since the guys are moving with greed and have Drump, they're still going to come out into the room. So one will stop in the doorway, the other 2 will come out. That actually works out really well. It blocks off the bears potentially, or the bear. So I will just move back there, and now I can use Biting Gnats along with Nightmarish Affliction. I think I had said earlier that I poisoned Rita. I'm not going to go back and double check. I'll assume I did. So then I will go ahead and poison Steely Dan. Okay, so I can actually reach all of the enemies. So I think I'm going to go for the Elite, the Cave Bear, and the other Elite. So we will start with this guy. It is going to be just a 1 attack, and I'm going to be able to heal somebody. So we'll take the poison off Steely Dan, most likely, and then 0, so just 1 damage. Next up, the attack on the bear is going to be... Ooh, that's a nice one. So that is give the target or any enemy within 2 of the target a plague. I'm going to give it to this guy. Let's stack up the plague counters so I can punch through his shields. Finally, the attack against the 4 shields, but who knows what effects might happen. I will go ahead and draw. And yeah, no damage. I am not going to stun him. I do want him to move up 2. Don't mind taking the attack. He'll be muddled, so it'll be a disadvantage. There are still a bunch of curses in there. That'll do it for the Plague Herald. Now the greedy vermlings are going to make their way out. on the hunt for gold. Instead of going all the way back here and collecting the gold they know about, they're going to look for it on our person. Of course, just moving into melee, starting with the elite, who's going to move into the door. That'll put him next to the Plague Herald. Then this guy will go next. He will be able to go 1, 2, 3, getting next to the Plague Herald. And last but not least, this guy who does have jump, 1, 2, 3, 4, also getting next to the Plague Herald and setting us up to do plenty of damage to them. Now Katie is up, and Katie is going to try and go kaboom, as she is burning like the sun, and she is going to target this guy with advantage. She will consume... I keep forgetting. I keep giving her advantage and forgetting that the card also gives her advantage. It's fine. Whatever. She'll consume it to get the +1. So it is a 4 attack against that guy. Let's see if we can get a little bit of luck. All right, it is, and we do have Ode to the Gambler. So we will apply Ode to the... I do not want to apply Ode to the Gambler to the miss. So I'm not going to be able to draw that third card. It's just... so it is either going to be a miss or it is going to be a ×2. Yes, Katie, you did it. 8 damage dealt to him. That's 2 down, just 1 to go. And I think it's probably going to have to be against the Cave Bear. We are going to have to work to set that up. So that mastery goal very much within reach, although now I have to reshuffle. So that makes it a little bit harder. Now, Katie does have 3 movement. I've already consumed the element. But what I'm going to do is, since I want to set myself up, I want the Cave Bear to get closer. I've got some time. So what I'm actually going to use, I'm going to use the Heavy Greaves to give her +1 movement. So now she's got 4 movement, and she can go 1, 2, 3, 4 back through the door, pick up a coin, why leave loot behind? And then next turn, I'll be able to move back up. I'll be able to have her both strengthen and bless herself. That'll keep that other mastery going, and hopefully set myself up for a big attack the following round. So that is going to do it for Katie's turn. Next up is the Vermling Priest, who is going to go 1, 2. We'll move him there. And he is going to go ahead and target the Plague Herald with a 4 attack, but which will also muddle the Plague Herald, but it will be at disadvantage, and hopefully disadvantage will protect me. Here we go. That attack is either going to be a +1 or +1. Where are my curses? Disadvantage did not protect me. I am going to have to lose a card. And that card will be the card I just paid a life to keep. It's going to be Rot Maggots, because I want to do Wilt and Wither next turn, and then my other card is my 11 initiative. I definitely want that so that I can go very quickly. Next up is the Cave Bear, who is just going to move 2, getting a little bit closer. This guy no longer muddled. And that is going to do it for the enemies. So now Rita's turn, which will start with Steely Dan, who will advance on this guy and attack for 3. And I am going to give Steely Dan the strengthen. There was no reason to strengthen Katie, knowing what card she was going to be playing and that it was going to give her a built-in advantage. Just getting used to the first time playing the character. So here we go. This is going to be a 3 attack at advantage, and Ode to the Gambler in effect. So yeah, we're going to start off with a +2 and then either a 0 or a +1 and strengthen. We'll take the strengthen. So that is a 3 + 3. That's 6 damage. Going to completely wipe out the enemy. And then I just need to decide which ally I want to strengthen. Probably the Plague Herald, just so I can offset the muddled disadvantage he's got. Katie's not going to be attacking next turn. Right, now it is Rita's turn, and she is going to do a long rest. All things being equal, I'd love to be able to put one of my songs back in the discard pile. I've got 4 cards in the discard pile. I'm only going to get 3 back. That said, all this happens before my end of turn effects, so I will just go ahead and lose Marching Beat. Again, now that I'm reminded that Katie keeps giving herself advantage on some of these attacks, I don't need to be the one to provide the strengthen. That will allow me to hold on to the other 3 cards, get me set up, And so that's going to be, oh, and then she'll also heal her poison. She'll get her items back. And then she will be able to do end of turn effects, which are going to be a couple of attacks with Dissonant Rhythm and Mobilizing Measure. I'll do Mobilizing Measure first, as I'll move Katie up here. Don't worry, she's not going to steal the loot. Katie's going to be moving on her turn. Now the Dissonant Rhythm attacks. All right, obviously attacking this enemy, and we'll apply Ode to the Gambler. So this attack also at advantage, right? Yeah, she is strengthened. She did that to herself last turn. So last until the end. That is going to be either a stun or Keeper Song's in play. That is what I was looking for. So that is going to be 3 damage to that guy, bringing him down to 4. And then we'll go ahead and do the second attack, which will gain the +1. So a 3 at advantage is either a 0 or grant an ally an attack or movement. So, and again, because it's advantage, second card rolling modifier, the rolling modifier is ignored. So it's going to be 3 damage. And then I just have to decide, do I want to give somebody movement, or do I want to give the Plague Herald a chance to finish this one off? Of course, I just realized the Plague Herald is going to finish him off. The Elite is down to 1 health. He is plagued. I'm doing Wilt and Wither next turn on 11, so that will kill him. No reason to grant the attack. Instead, I will just have Katie move up a little bit more. Yeah, the other option is I could have the Plague Herald move back with the eye towards eventually going back there. I'm not too worried about it. Let's get Katie in as good position as possible. And yeah, that was effective. So that is going to do it for Rita's turn. At this point, I'm pretty much in mop-up mode. The question now is, can I get a little bit of luck and manage to pull off this mastery for Katie? We'll find out. She is... Well, we'll have the Plague Herald actually going first. I'm going to have Rita go on 27 so that Steely Dan doesn't steal the kill. Plague Herald going to be able to throw out some attacks. And then I'm actually planning on having him making his way all the way back towards the coin I left behind. So we'll set that up. Then Rita will go, and she'll be able to cause some damage as well. Also grant some movement, as I said, to the Plague Herald. And then finally, hopefully with the way cleared, Katie will be able to run up, stun the bear, and go for the big attack. Sorry, she will not be going for the big attack yet. She is going to set up for the big attack next turn. So I'm just checking to see how the enemies might try and foil our plans. Ooh, the priest going very fast with an Angry Hex. Targeting 2 people, and one of them is going to be Katie. I don't like that at all. And there's nothing I can do about it. Well, that is a bummer. I'm just going to have to suck it up and muddle. Well, it's a good thing she's not attacking this turn. But the curse, not good, not good. What about the Cave Bear? There are no Vermling Scouts. Cave Bear doing a big attack, but not until 60, so should be able to stun it. All right, so the Vermling Priest looking for the 2 nearest targets. Actually, Katie is not going to be the target. She is equidistant with Steely Dan, so it will be the Plague Herald and Steely Dan, since Steely Dan has a lower initiative. So that is a relief. So she'll just move up there so that she can target them both, and then she will go ahead and perform a 2 attack against the Plague Herald, and then against the Steel Construct. First, against the Brain, that is going to be, oh my god, times 2. Yeah, 4 damage, so I'm going to have to lose 2 cards from my discard pile. Yeah, that was really bad. Plague Herald down to 2 cards, the one he's got in hand that he's played for this round. So that means we have to end the scenario next turn if I want any chance of getting his personal goal to not exhaust. All right, could be rough. That was about the only card that could have screwed me. That was such an unlikely combination, yet it happened. Now the attack against Steely Dan. Of course, this is going to be, this is going to be a curse. Yeah, of course. So, no damage to Steely Dan. Wish it had been the other way around. That's going to do it for the priest. Yeah, I got a little careless there. Went on autopilot. I really should have had Rita go first on 5. She certainly could have prevented all of that from happening. That said, let's go ahead. We will just deal with it, and I still think it's possible. I may be able to... Although, no, the bear's got a lot of health. So, all right, well, let's see what happens. We're going to start with the Plague Herald, who is going to get some measure of revenge. He will use Biting Gnats, or sorry, I had put up Biting Gnats before. That is not the card I meant to put down. I already played Biting Gnats. It is actually going to be Wilt and Wither. I will, once again, poison Steely Dan, and that will also give me an XP, and then I will attack all 3. I know, I'm already at disadvantage plus strengthen, so everything's going to be a straight-up attack, even against the guy right next to me, and we will start with him. It is going to be, it's going to be a miss. So now the attack against the elite is just no damage, and now the cave bear, this is actually kind of important. Actually, and I'm going to use my stun powder to stun the elite, just in case I don't kill him. Then to the cave bear, just 1 damage. Then Wilt and Wither is going to deal damage. This guy will take 3 down to 2. He'll take 2 down to 11. And this guy will die. Then I do have 3 movement. So, sorry, Rita. I am going to have to go 1, 2, 3 and take some of the loot. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that is going to put me in position to get the other one as well. Yeah, just another reason I should have had Rita go first this turn. Made a lot of mistakes. Hopefully doesn't cost me, but that is going to do it for the Plague Herald, who's just going to long rest next turn. Actually, there is one other thing that happened. When I killed that scout, last chance, well, might have one more chance, but I'm going to go ahead and use this to have the scout attack the bear, which will also give him... actually, I think the way this works out, since the scout died first, that'll actually apply another plague counter to the bear. So I'll actually take an additional damage on top of that. Of course, highly likely that I am going to draw a curse here. That's just been the luck for the Plague Herald this game. But let's see. Here comes a 3 attack. No, actually going to do 3 damage and 1 more. That's going to bring the bear down to 7. Actually, 1 change of plans with the Plague Herald's movement. I'm just going to move him. I'm actually just going to move him over here, kind of out of the way. Let Rita have the loot. So now Rita's up, which means Steely Dan is up first, moving into the doorway, and what is likely to be a very futile attack. But hey, you never know what effects might come up. Steely Dan going to attack the elite. It's a 3 attack. Last time I said this, I got a ×2. So, okay. Ooh, that is good. Yeah, I will apply the rolling modifier. So then, it's a -2. That's not good. But being able to get another bless into Katie's deck, very good. And a strengthen to an ally. So this on Steely Dan's turn, he'll go ahead and strengthen Rita. It's still no damage dealt, but pretty effective. And at this point, I care much more about just dealing damage and no real need to keep my songs in play. So I will go ahead and apply the other bless to Rita. Now it's Rita's turn, and this is really interesting. I'm going to use Call to Action on Katie because you never know what might happen. It's only a 2 attack, but 1, 2, 3. That's going to put her next to the Cave Bear, which she can go ahead and do an attack against. And because of Ode to the Gambler, it's not impossible that she takes this guy out and does 8 damage. Likely, no, but worth a shot. All right, so this starts off as a 2 attack and a 0 with the rolling modifier. All right, now I don't have a chance. I don't want to accidentally roll into one of my blesses, so I will not use Ode to the Gambler. I will do 2 damage to the bear, though. Then Rita will use her loot ability. By the way, so I played 3 of these songs on turn 1, played the other song on turn 2, and they've been in there the entire game. I've just been piling up these notes that I have no need for. This is incredible. This is like the most efficient Rita has ever been. I guess she is getting ready for her swan song and has perfected it. In any event, she is going to loot, grabbing these 3 coins. So now she's looking good on the loot front. No target for the attack. They're out of range. But now we can go to end of turn, and she will be able to fire off a dissonant rhythm attack with advantage against the elite and hopefully punch through those shields. First attack is a 2 attack with advantage. There's a +1. We will apply the rolling modifier from Ode to the Gambler, and then either a ×2 or a stun. Perfect. We'll take the ×2, and I will kill this guy. And honestly, the second attack, I'm not going to bother. The bear's going down. Hopefully, Katie can do it, and no reason to soften it up. So that is going to do it for Rita's turn. Oh, she's got mobilizing measure. Yeah, at this point, it doesn't really matter. Here, you can move too. And that will do it for her turn. Now Katie Kaboom is up, and she is getting ready to finish things off. Not going to take on the bear yet. Needs to prepare. She will bless and strengthen herself and also generate light. And then she will use her 5 movement not to stun the cave bear. Sorry, Steely Dan, you're going to have to take an attack. She's going to jump on that chest. I just don't want to risk that I'm not able to loot it next turn in case the bear does something like immobilize or something. So she will land on the chest, generate more light, not that it matters, and gain some XP, and let's see what she finds inside. And there's a reason I'm letting her have it and not Rita. I think I'm good. Rita's got enough money to set her up for her enhancement. Whereas Katie, just getting started on her adventuring career, if there's an item in here, I certainly want it going to her. No loot, no item, just a map. But Katie is very happy to find that. It's a random side scenario, so that will be another thing that can help her towards her personal goal, potentially. All right, loot taken care of. Let me just mark off all of her updates to her character, and then the bear will go. Cave Bear coming in hot with a calculated strike. He will target the lower initiative of Steely Dan. And this going to be a 5 attack, so we really need a curse here if he wants to live. It is, well, it's a -2, which, interesting. That's 3 damage. Wow, I totally forgot about my Ranger's Hood, but I will use the Warden's Robes to give 2 shields, so that 5 attack just becomes 1 damage, although he is bleeding, is Steely Dan, and he's at 1. Oh, no, he's poisoned, so he is actually eliminated. Unfortunate, sad, but he was a valiant effort. This game did a lot of good work. Rest in pieces. Okay, so with that done, I realize now, again, going over Rita's turns, I don't need a short rest to get a card back. I still haven't used her stamina potion, so I'll go ahead and do that. End of Rita's turns, her songs will tick down, and I'm not sad about that. That's actually going to give me a couple of XP. So at this point, as I will lose Dissonant Rhythm finally. It might have been nice to keep it around, but good enough. Don't need it anymore. Hopefully Katie can finish things off. So I'll give her XP, and then we'll get ready for the final round. Oh, last thing, to set Katie up, she is going to take a short rest, so I lost Tactical Retreat. At this point, we are right there. Rita's going to go first. She's got enough movement with her boots that she'll actually be able to pick up the coin. Not worried about the other ability. I've got Katie set up that she could potentially, it really depends on when the bears are going. She could either do a ranged attack or she's got an ability with her loot card to put another bless into her deck and then do an attack. Just the bear has to be next to her in order for that to happen. So let's see what they're doing. Of course, the Plague Herald just doing a long rest. Here we go, drawing for the bear. Going very fast and moving and mobilizing. All right, so that's fine. I will not be doing a ranged attack. I actually prefer it this way. So the bear's up first. It will move up and do a low slash against Katie. So this will be a 3 attack. And that is going to be, hey, there's a curse. She is just wounded. Well, wounded and immobilized, but she wasn't planning on moving. Next up is Rita, who's got to move 4, and then she will use her boots to get +1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just enough to get over and grab that loot. Pretty good, actually. I think there was only the 1 I left right at the beginning. Crew was very diligent about collecting all the treasure. It is the reason they came out here. But we are not done yet. Need to see if we can take out that bear. So that's it for Rita's turn. Mobilizing measure. She'll just keep moving this guy around because why not? And now it is Katie's turn. It is Paladin meets Bear in this epic showdown. Katie first will take a wound damage, and then she'll use her loot ability. She will be able to go ahead and shuffle a bless into her deck. And I think if I'm just looking at my other blesses, I think she's got 5 in her deck. I didn't actually go in and check, but a reasonable chance of drawing one of them. All right, here it comes. Moment of truth. I swear I have not stacked the deck. In fact, I will shuffle them up again. Whatever card was on top is there no more. Usually I would do a riffle shuffle, but that's a bit tricky. So let's just put it back down. Here we go. First card, which Ode to the Gambler, still in play. And that's a -1. This is problematic because if I Ode to the Gambler that, I am consuming the sun, obviously. So I'm at a 4. The -1 would bring it down to a 3, and then a ×2 would not do the trick. So I am just going to have to go with whatever comes next. And geez, I hope I can actually kill this guy. That would be unfortunate. So it is going to be a ×2, and once again, I have managed to pull off both masteries. I have also prevented any characters from exhausting. The Plague Herald was right there. He's just going to do his long rest. He will not heal, so that he ends the scenario at half health or less. But yeah, wow. We pulled it off. Managed to do 8 or more damage 3 times to 3 different enemies. Also managed to create or consume light every round. Sometimes I did both in a round. Never even used my element potion. So wasn't even necessary. She's only going to get better when I never actually used her level 2 attack, in part because I was working on that mastery. Now I'll have the wild element on there. Should be really fun. This was cool. I really like adding her to the mix. Little sad that I guess, maybe we'll see if she's got at least one more scenario with Soothsinger. They are certainly a good tandem. But yeah, let me read the conclusion and find out what happens. And so we went around and looted the ship, having killed all of its inhabitants. And we did manage to find more gold. Everyone gets 15 gold. That's the reward. As far as the side scenario unlocked, I'll do that in my city phase. Let's just take a quick look at how the characters did. From XP, it was 12 for the scenario, 8 for Rita fulfilling her battle goal, which she did. I'm pretty sure I might have played things a little bit differently if mobilizing measure didn't count, but I don't see why it wouldn't. She got 27 XP. She's up to 327 after the 10 she got from the road event. Still, she would get to level 7 with one more scenario. Gold-wise, looted 9 tokens. She got 51 gold. She's up to 182. So she needs 175 to do the enhancement, so that is going to happen next city phase. Next, we've got the Brain, the Plague Herald, who was sorely in need of gold. He picked up 43, so he is now up to 53 gold. XP-wise, he got 27 XP. He's up to 298, so he will level up to level 6. He also completed his battle goal, got 2 more check marks, so he'll gain a perk from that. So he's got a perk from the level up, a perk from check marks, and on top of all of that, he's now completed his personal goal 8 of the 10 times he's going for. Finally, we've got Katie Kaboom, the Volrath Sunkeeper, who in her inaugural adventure certainly proved her worth. She picked up 30 XP, getting her up to 85 with the 10 she got earlier, almost to level 3. Not quite, but she'll get there next time. She also picked up a slew of gold, 51, so now she's up to 71. Should be able to outfit herself a little bit more, get a couple more items. She completed 2 masteries, so 2 perks incoming there, and she did complete her battle goal, never resting, or always resting with cards in hand. So yeah, a really good first effort for her. A great all-around team effort. And that is going to do it for Scenario 83, The Lost Island. I went out to get gold. I did that and then some. So really effective. Where do we go next? The Gloomaniacs. Probably we're going to see what happens when we do the enhancement, if that means Rita's retiring, or, again, I'm guessing it probably is going to unlock another side scenario, so that is where I'll be heading most likely. We shall find out. But that is for next time. For this time, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Give me some comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Sunkeeper or anything else that happened in this scenario. And otherwise, as always, until next time, and thanks for watching.